Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry I haven't uploaded a video in a while. I have been down with the flu for about 2 weeks now, but alhamdulillah I am doing a lot better, and hopefully we will be able to get back to a regular uploading schedule. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the differences between a prophet and a messenger from the Quranic understanding. According to the Quran, there have been several prophets and messengers throughout history who were sent to different groups of people. So the question is, what is the difference between a prophet and a messenger? In Islamic tradition, it has been claimed that a prophet is of a lesser degree than a messenger. They say that a prophet is not necessarily given a message or a new law, whereas a messenger receives a new law and a message from God. But how does this relate to the Quran and its message? Do we get the same understanding from the Quran? Let us try and find out. The word Nabiyy, prophet, comes from the Arabic root nun-ba hamza, which means to inform or to relay some news. Therefore, a prophet is an individual with some sort of news. Typically, it relates to news of a hidden and divine nature, news that concerns the human race and which had previously been hidden from people. In the biblical tradition, a prophet was typically associated with some sort of information that pertains to unseen matters such as prophecies or premonitions about the future. However, the Quranic usage and meaning of the word prophet differs slightly from this sort of understanding and perception. Though prophets in the Quran might possess some sort of information that pertains to future events, this is not their main purpose. Their first and foremost role is to function as givers of glad tidings and warners, as stated in chapter 2 verse 233, which reads, "Human beings were one nation, then God raised up prophets as givers of glad tidings and as warners, and he sent down along with them the prescribed law in truth in order that they may judge between the people concerning that in which they had differed." Thus, prophets were originally sent to function as givers of glad tidings and to warn people. They were each given the prescribed law, i.e. the kitab, which they used to judge the disputes that arose among the people. It is similarly stated in the Quran that God gave the prophets 3 things. 1. The prescribed law, i.e. the kitab. 2. The judgment, i.e. the hukm. And 3. The prophethood, i.e. nubuwa, as stated in chapter 3 verse 79, which reads, "It was not for a human being that God should give him the prescribed law and the judgment and the prophethood, and then he would say to the people, 'Be servants to me as opposed to God.' Rather, he would say, 'Be dutiful learners and scholars of the Lord, because of what you have taught of the prescribed law and because of what you have studied.'" So, from this we can conclude that prophets are human individuals who were given prophethood, a prescribed law and judgment, and whose primary objective was to function as givers of glad tidings and as warners. They used the prescribed laws that they were given to judge the disputes and disagreements that arose among people. Thus, prophethood can be understood as a seal of approval from God, which signifies that a certain human being has received these objectives and has taken on this task. Now let us turn our attention to the term messenger, i.e. Rasul. The word Rasul comes from the Arabic root Ra, Sin and Lam, which means to send, from which the words message, Risala, messenger, Rasul, or emissary, ambassador or apostle, Mursal, are also derived. Unlike prophets, messengers are of 3 kinds: human, angel, and jinn, whereas prophets are only human, as stated in chapter 6 verse 130, which reads, "O company of the jinn and the humans, did there not come to you messengers from among yourselves, relating to you my signs and verses, and warning you of the meeting of this day of yours? Similarly, we read in chapter 35 verse 1 the following: "All praises are due to God, the originator of the heavens and the earth, the appointer of the angels as messengers possessing wings, 2s, 3s, and 4s. From these verses, we can also understand that messengers had the function of warning similar to prophets. We also read in chapter 7 verse 101, which reads, "And there did in fact come to them messengers with clear and evident signs, but they were not inclined to have faith in what they had already rejected before." This verse shows us that messengers were sent with the bayinat, which are the clear and manifest signs and evidence. These signs and proofs are understood to be those which the messengers could use to prove their appointment by God. The evident signs are said to have been given by the permission of God, as stated in chapter 13 verse 38, which reads, "And we did certainly send messengers before you, O Muhammad, and we appointed for them spouses and offspring. It was not for a messenger that he would come with a sign except by the permission of God. For every term there is an ordinance." Similarly, we are also told that messengers were sent in the tongue of their people, as stated in chapter 14 verse 4, which reads, "And we did not send any messenger except with the tongue of his people to make the message clear and apparent to them. Then God lets whomever he wills to go astray, and he lets whomever he wills to be guided, for he is the one with the authority, the wise." Clarification of the message is a primary role of a messenger, as stated in chapter 16 verse 35, which reads, "So is there upon the messenger except the duty of clear and plain conveyance of the message?" The same is confirmed in chapter 29 verse 18, which reads, "And it is not upon the messenger except the duty of clear and plain conveyance of the message." We similarly observe an overlap in chapter 57 verse 25, wherein a messenger is also one who is given a prescribed law, i.e. a kitab. The verse states as follows, "We did certainly send messengers with clear and evident signs, and we sent down along with them the prescribed law and the balance in order that the people may uphold their affairs with fairness and justice." This verse is correlated to chapter 2 verse 213, which we have already covered, which states that God sent down along with the prophets the prescribed law in truth, in order that they may judge between the people concerning that in which they had differed. This overlap suggests that a prophet is automatically a human messenger, meaning that every single prophet was a messenger by default, but not every messenger was a prophet, since prophets were human beings. They were not prophets among the angels, nor among the jinn. So to conclude from all this, a prophet is a human messenger who has been appointed by God to deliver some sort of information or message to the people. This individual has two aspects to him. One aspect with the prophetic duty, which is to function as a judge over the disputes that arise among the people, using the prescribed law and the wisdom which he has received from God. The other aspect concerns the emissarial duty, which is to bring the message or news that this prophet has received from God into the open, i.e. tabayyan, to make it evident, plain, and apparent for the people. This emissarial duty is mainly to convey the message to the people in their lisan, i.e. their tongue, which is not only limited to language but also includes following the mode, style, and manner of speech which is known to all the people in the community. So that is the difference between a prophet and a messenger. I hope you all were able to follow along. Leave your comments down below if you have anything to add or any questions pertaining to what I just presented. Take very good care of yourselves, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.